Good afternoon. I'm coming to you today from a very overcast evening, post-work, barefaced, just hopped out of the shower. I pulled my sweaters out for fall, so put on a cozy sweater. I just made myself some chai. This is the best quick chai in my opinion. It's the Trader Joe's chai mix. I'll post a picture of it in my Tatooine mug. Everything about this just makes me so happy, and even better, I'm gonna sit down and talk to you about Disney. So if you'd like to join me, I encourage you to grab a fun drink and kind of sit down, get cozy, and this is probably going to be a lengthy video. Think of this as podcast-esque. I'm just gonna kind of chat and talk about our previous trip. So YouTube people might not know that I did go to Disney again because I didn't really film any pre-Disney content for this trip because it was very spur of the moment, last minute. So I'm gonna kind of rewind a little bit back in time and explain why this trip was so last minute, because normally I'm a planner. I like to plan everything out like 6 months to more in advance. Like, I am not a last minute person. Rewind to the end of our last trip. So the one that you saw on my channel, me prepping for, I believe that trip was like May. Yeah, it was April, May. We got back from that trip and ended up purchasing a DVC resale contract, which I'm gonna make a whole nother video on because I could really talk about that a lot and go into a lot of depth on that. But that whole process took months. It took so long to like completion to where I could book trips with our DVC points. So my sister-in-law and her boyfriend have not been to Disney both in about 15-ish years, and they had approached us and asked us like to go with us anytime in the future, near future or whatever. They just really wanted to go with us because they know that we're Disney people, we know what there is to do, where everything is, and they were like, we haven't been in forever, we have no idea what there is to do. So we were like, totally. So then when we purchased our DVC contract, we actually ended up getting bonus points because the people who were selling it had banked points from the previous year. So we actually had a good amount of points that were going to expire at the end of this year. So we were like, all right, we knew we wanted to go around November, December-ish for like a holiday trip. And then we were like, we need to plan something else because we're not going to use all these points. So we approached my sister-in-law and her boyfriend and we're like, hey, do you want to go on a last minute end of the summer trip? And that's pretty much what it turned out to be. We ended up kind of flying by the seat of our pants because I told them, I said, as soon as we get notified that our DVC points are loaded, I will be booking the trip. So our DVC points got loaded like mid-July, and I booked our trip for the last week of August / first week of September. We had less than 60 days, so once the trip was booked, I immediately hopped on and tried to book any dining that I could find, which I actually did very well. And I will say, I think that's a testament to how dead it was when we went. So suffice to say, that's why I didn't have any pre-content, because this trip was just booked so last minute and it crept up on us like that between working and just life. We were like, oh, well, it's time to go. So let's get into the actual trip itself and all of my thoughts. So I had a lot of thoughts going into this trip because if you are in like the Disney creator space, or even just like Florida space, you would know that Florida was experiencing some really extreme heat. Pretty much this whole summer has been record highs. So I was a little bit worried going down because normally I avoid June, July, and August of Florida. I just don't go because I find that it's just too hot and it's very uncomfortable. I prepared, I packed accordingly, and you know, I was checking the weather forecast hoping it would cool down slightly, and then literally the day before we were leaving there was a hurricane on the radar, just kind of creeping up. Might hit us, might not. We weren't sure, and we were like, well, you know what, it's not there yet, so fingers crossed. And we hopped on the plane, and the plane, we ended up taking a nighttime flight and kind of just getting in and then sleeping. Our flight was empty. When I tell you that, I think they said like 30 people on the entire plane. Me, my husband, and my sister-in-law all got a row to ourselves because her boyfriend was flying in the following day to meet us there, so we all had a row to ourselves. It was the wildest experience I've ever had flying to Florida. Unheard of. So I will say that was a perk of flying in August, that it was completely empty. So we arrived at our destination. So we had a lot of firsts this trip. This was our first time staying as DVC members. This was our first time bringing family with us. We booked a split stay because it was so last minute. I actually couldn't get our full week at the same resort, so I was kind of forced to do a split stay, and it was our first time going in August. So a lot of first time experiences this time around. We ended up staying at Saratoga Springs for the first half of our trip, and we stayed in the section that's closest to Disney Springs. I think it's Congress Park. And we could literally walk to Disney Springs. I mean, technically you can walk to Disney Springs from the entire resort, but it's gonna be a bit of a walk. Even from our section, it was a little bit of a walk.
Beware the alligators. This is where the alligators.
But I really enjoyed Saratoga Springs. It doesn't feel overly Disney, I will say. The lobby wasn't like anything spectacular, but it was cute and charming. And I really do love the pastel colors of the buildings. That adds just like so much charm for me for some reason. I really enjoy walking around the resort. Suffice to say, we did not really spend that much time in Saratoga Springs because we pretty much arrived late at night, went to sleep, and then we woke up and we were doing a resort kind of just chill day, Disney Springs day. So woke up and headed over to the Artist's Palette, which is kind of the quick service food court area of Saratoga Springs. So I was really excited to eat here for the first time because they had this like French toast that sounded really good, and it was amazing. I'll put a picture of it here. It was so yummy. I'm a sweets person, so I like a sweet breakfast, and this was just delicious. Great start to the trip. We also decided to purchase resort mugs this time around. We have never done the resort mug thing before, but because we were staying for 5 days and we were doing a split stay, we're doing a whole resort day, we were like, we kind of thought we were gonna get our money's worth, so we got the resort mugs and we totally got our money's worth. I think I'm converted now. I think I'm just a resort mug person because we used that thing everywhere. We even brought it in the parks just to fill with water. Got our resort mug and headed out to Disney Springs. So we didn't really plan on spending a ton of time at Disney Springs. We just wanted to hit up World of Disney, hit up Pin Traders, and just do a little bit of shopping and get some cookies from Gideon's. So we stop at Gideon's, I would say half and half on our trips. Some trips we stop, some we don't, because you do have to wait in line and it can be a bit of a chunk of time taken out of your trip. But because we weren't doing a park that day, we definitely had time to kill. So we got our Gideon's cookies and pretty much then headed back to the resort, dropped all of our stuff off, and headed over to the Polynesian. We got lunch right away from Captain Cook's. I really love their noodles. They're like stir-fry noodles. It's such a good plant-based option and it's so tasty, and they give you quite a bit for the price. And then we hopped in line for Trader Sam's. So if you've never done Trader Sam's, I would say it's like an interactive tiki bar. Think interactive tiki bar with like a Disney spin. And I absolutely love this bar. It's so fun. The drinks are amazing. If you're like a fruity coconut like tiki bar drink lover, you will absolutely love it, which is some of my favorite types of drinks. So we really wanted to take my sister-in-law here as well because she'd never been, and we just had a lot of experiences that we knew were really fun that we wanted to kind of see through the eyes of our family that had never seen it. So she really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And then we actually ended up getting another drink from Tambu Lounge and then kind of just spent our time walking around those resorts. We went over to the Contemporary and the Grand Floridian and did a little pin trading, just exploring and walking around. The Grand Floridian was still under construction at the time, which was kind of a bummer, but it's still beautiful on the outside. And after that, it was around time to meet up with the other party member, which is my sister-in-law's boyfriend, and he was flying in to meet us and then go grab dinner. So we decided to do dinner at Whispering Canyon because when I asked my sister-in-law and her boyfriend like what their requests were from the trip, as the person planning the trip, they really just said they wanted it to feel like a Disney trip. Like they just wanted the cheesy, the corny, they just wanted the Disney magic. And I was like, all right, I can provide. So Whispering Canyon definitely checks that box for me. It's quirky, it's cute, the waiters are rude to you. Like I love this restaurant. So, and they have an amazing plant-based all you can eat like skillet that's just so good. So that wraps up our first day. It was a pretty chill day, but we definitely did a lot, I would say. So something that was a little bit different this time around is that we were not doing park hoppers. Now, me and my husband are pretty much park hopper only on our trip. And now that we have annual passes, we still continue to park hop, but we were taking advantage of the deal that was going on where it was like the cheaper tickets for just like a one-day ticket for each park. And so we were like, you know what? We're taking family. They haven't been in a really long time. There's definitely enough to do in each park to warrant just no park hoppers. So that was a different experience for us, but it was kind of nice because we got to do a lot in each park, and us knowing the parks and knowing kind of the wait times and how they change throughout the day, we were very efficient. So this first day we started off at Magic Kingdom. I feel like Magic Kingdom is just the quintessential park. When I step foot in and I walk down Main Street, I feel like I'm on a Disney trip. And it was decorated for Halloween, which was so pretty. I love the decorations. Strategically, we spent majority of our time in Tomorrowland during the day, so we pretty much hit all of Tomorrowland and a little bit of Fantasyland. We did like Little Mermaid, and like we tried to hit Peter Pan first, but of course it broke down. So we did Winnie the Pooh instead, Little Mermaid, and then like all of Tomorrowland. And I will say, I got Galactic Star Cruiser for the first time on this trip, and I was so excited. You better believe I got my sticker and took pictures, and because I have been trying to get Galactic Star Cruiser for years and I just can never do it. I either get a laser that just like doesn't work right, or I don't know, but I was finally able to do it, and I probably won't be able to do it again, but I did do it. once. Because we spent like a majority of the day in Tomorrowland, and I don't really love the food options in Magic Kingdom. I find that they're lacking. Especially for plant-based eaters too, like it's just a little bit lackluster. So since we were hopping resorts and staying at an all-new resort, which was the Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is our home resort, which I'm so excited to call the Animal Kingdom Lodge our home DVC resort. Like, that is my favorite resort out of all of them. My husband's too. We just love Animal Kingdom, the park, so we love being right next door, and we love the animals and the feel of it, and it just feels so grand when you walk in and that lobby. So because we had to check in at that resort, we decided to just eat lunch there. So we headed back to Animal Kingdom Lodge, brought our luggage to our room, checked in, and ate lunch at Sanaa. Sanaa is one of my favorite restaurants. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but it's definitely up there, and we got the bread service, and I actually, believe it or not, had not tried the bread service up until this point. There's just so many good restaurants at Disney, so trying to eat at them all is just impossible. So I was really excited that we got to try the bread service. It is worth the hype. It is a 10 out of 10. Like, you could just get bread service and be full. They give you so much, and I absolutely loved it. There was only like one of the dipping sauces that I didn't like, and oh my god, it was so good. I really want to go back. I think we're gonna go back on our next trip because it was just that good. So after lunch, we kind of chilled at the room for a little bit, got changed, unpacked, just kind of like relaxed, and then we headed back out to Magic Kingdom to kind of finish the other side of the park. So that's exactly what we did. We hit up most rides. We did get to do Peter Pan. We did Peter Pan. Yeah, we did everything except for Big Thunder Mountain. Yeah, we did everything except for Big Thunder Mountain, which unfortunately we just like didn't have enough time to get on, but we did Seven Dwarfs, and I feel that the two are very similar, so as long as you do one or the other, I think you can get like the full experience of Magic Kingdom. But yeah, that was like the only ride I don't think we did. So then we headed back to our resort and got some much needed rest for our next day, which is gonna be at Epcot. So we actually had extended evening hours this day, so we definitely wanted to take advantage of everything at Epcot. That morning, since we were at the new resort, we decided to just take advantage of the quick service kind of breakfast that they have, and we got breakfast at the Mara. Most of the kind of like cafeteria restaurants have some kind of plant-based or vegetarian option, so I usually just get Mickey waffles and eggs and breakfast potatoes, and that's exactly what I got. So then we headed over to the park and hit up a couple of rides. We did like some of the rides that are in the front and went over to do Soarin', and then we started actually in Canada because we specifically wanted drinks and stuff from that side, so I just wanted to make sure we got that for our party. So we did some food and wine things, got a Guardians, and we finally got a new song. I got I Ran, so now I just need Conga and I think one more, but that was fun. I did really like I Ran for that. I think it works well. And then, you know, did some more rides, and we headed over back into the World Showcase and headed to Tepanito for lunch. Lunch/dinner because it was a very late lunch, and Tepanito is so good. You can't go wrong. It's a fun experience, especially if you're with family and friends, and I just love it. There's not much to say about it. I mean, it's not gonna wow your socks off because it is just, you know, hibachi if you've done hibachi before, but it's hibachi in Epcot in Japan, so it feels a little bit extra. So after Tepanito, I made sure to get the chocolate pudding cake. I love the chocolate pudding cake. It's so good. I even ate it even though it was like 90 degrees. I still thoroughly enjoyed it. And then we headed back to the resort for a little swim because the Animal Kingdom Lodge pool is up there with one of my favorite pools. They have a cute little water slide. The pool itself is very large and you can walk around and see the animals. I love walking around and seeing them all. There was a bunch of flamingos, a giraffe that was like super close. I got a picture of it and everything. And then I ran back to grab the rest of my party, and when I brought them back, he was gone. I felt bad because I was like so excited. I ran and I was like, come on, come see. And of course he walked away. But yeah, we just swam and enjoyed some time at the resort and then headed back out to Epcot for extra magic hours. So this is where our plans kind of didn't go according to plan because I had assumed that extra magic hours meant everything stayed opened, but that is not the case. So extra magic hours, only rides stay opened, and it's not even every single ride, it's certain rides. There's a list of the rides they have open, and so they promptly close all of the food and drink booths when the park closes. So we had planned on doing some more food and wine stuff, so we were running around like chickens without heads trying to just grab what food and drink we could and like gather it all up and just eat it in one spot, which was a little chaotic. And you know, that was poor planning on my part. I have never done extra magic hours at Epcot. I've done it at other parks and I didn't realize. I don't know why I didn't realize, but it is what it is, and now I know for the future. So I will say I don't know that it's worth it because there's not that many rides in Epcot, and everyone kind of crowds to the good rides. So you don't really end up waiting in shorter lines, and I feel like it would be much more worth it if at least the food and wine booths stayed open, like at least the festival booths, so you could kind of disperse the crowds a bit. But it was what it was. We actually ended up going to the Abracadabra bar on the boardwalk section to grab some drinks and some food, which they had a really good margarita pizza, so that was a kind of magic moment, saving grace for our Epcot evening. But by that point we were so exhausted that we just headed back to the room and we all just promptly passed out. So then we woke up early again for our next day, which was Hollywood Studios. So we headed straight to Galaxy's Edge and we spent quite a bit of time in Galaxy's Edge because my sister-in-law and her boyfriend had a Savi's workshop reservation and we really wanted to get both of the rides done, and we got breakfast at Ronto Roasters. I really love the breakfast version of the Ronto wraps. They're just a lot better in my opinion, especially the plant-based version. And then we headed to pretty much the rest of the park and tried to knock out as many rides as we could. The weather was kind of on and off this day because the hurricane was coming. So it rained sort of on and off, which wasn't that big of a deal, and the crowds were still really low. Like I think Tower was a walk-on. And then we ended our Hollywood evening with Fantasmic. I definitely knew I wanted to take them to see Fantasmic because I feel like out of the nighttime shows, that one is the one that is 100% worth it. And they ended up loving it. I will say it's different this time around. So the dragon does not come out, and I was a little disappointed. I know that they've been having some issues with the dragon catching on fire, but I was disappointed not to see the dragon. However, it still makes sense story-wise, and it was still a spectacular show, but sans dragon. And then after Fantasmic, we had a late night Uga's Cantina. This is my favorite thing to do. I love reserving Uga's like post-park close, especially if you're coming from Fantasmic, because then you don't have to walk through the huge crowd of people leaving. You can kind of cut through and just head to Galaxy's Edge. And I love walking around Galaxy's Edge when it's empty, and because two of our party members made lightsabers, we were able to take some pretty cool pictures for them with their lightsabers in an empty nighttime Galaxy's Edge, which is just so much fun. I got a couple of drinks from Uga's. I did get the non-alcoholic drinks because I just wasn't really feeling alcohol. By this point, I had drinking quite a bit of alcohol the night before, so I got the like milk and cookies one, which is not good at all. Don't get it. I didn't even drink it. It was so not good. It's blue milk, but I just really don't like the blue milk. It's too like floury. I don't know. It tastes like soap to me, and I just didn't enjoy it. I did get the non-alcoholic version of, it's like the drink in the petri dish that's like jello-y with Pop Rocks on it. That was really good. Really fun experience. Very, very delicious. So then we are coming up on what was intended to be our last day. So this is the day the hurricane arrives. So this was our Animal Kingdom day, and it rained the entire day. I think we had like 10 minutes of sunshine. Ponchos, water shoe, like water sandals on all day. Like, it just rained. It poured the entire day, but we didn't let it get us down. We still carried on and did the best we could through our Animal Kingdom day. And we ate breakfast at Tusker House. This was the first time ever for me doing breakfast at Tusker House. I had really been trying to reserve this for a couple of trips, and it just books up fast. It's very popular, but I really didn't like it. In my opinion, there are a lot of other better breakfast buffets at Disney that I would rather do and rather spend my money on. And yeah, I didn't really like it. I didn't really like the inside. Like, it felt very cafeteria, in my opinion, for how much money you're gonna pay. And it's a character dining, so the characters did come around quite a bit, which was nice. But yeah, I just didn't really enjoy it. And I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys, because that is something I do on this channel. I let you know what's worth your money and what's not, because Disney is very expensive. So after our breakfast, we headed straight to the safari, because if there's one thing I know, it's if it's raining, you're gonna have an awesome safari. And we did. This was probably the best safari I've ever been on. The animals were all out. I saw like 7 elephants and I think like 6 giraffes or more. I feel like every giraffe and every elephant was just out. The rhino was out. Like, the cheetah was up and walking around. Every time I do with the safari, the cheetah is always just laying there in the back corner, not moving. So to see the cheetah up and walking around was really cool. And yeah, we just saw everything. Everything was out. The lion was up and walking around, and he walked on top of the rock and even gave like a roar. Like, it was amazing. 10 out of 10. If it's raining, like, run to Animal Kingdom and head to the safari, because it's gonna be amazing. And you don't really get wet because it's a covered truck. So after the safari, we did Festival of the Lion King, because I was hoping that we could kind of tuck in there and it wouldn't be raining after. Still raining, so we just headed on to Pandora, did Flight of Passage. There was literally nobody in Animal Kingdom, so we didn't do Genie Plus at all for this trip. Flight of Passage was a 35-minute wait just in the middle of the day. I couldn't believe, like, Flight of Passage, the line was so short, we could have done it twice. Like, we could have just got right back on and done it again. Like, I've never seen it that short in my life. So I guess people were not going to the parks because of a hurricane, but hey, the parks were open and it wasn't even really that bad. I've been when it's rained worse. So we did get lunch at Satuli Canteen. The quick service food in Animal Kingdom just doesn't miss. I really wish Magic Kingdom would like take a cue from Animal Kingdom's quick service, because their quick service is all just so good. This is when me and my husband were kind of worried about heading home. Both him and I did have like extra days off of work that we could use, so we actually decided to stay. My sister-in-law and her boyfriend decided to, you know, get on the plane because they both had to go to work because they're teachers and the new school year was starting like that day. So they both left, and like while our plane was like still there, it kept changing times throughout the day. Like, it was changing at least 5 times while we were just walking around Animal Kingdom. So we decided, rather than just be stuck in the airport all night, that we would just stay an extra day. So we ended up booking a night at Port Orleans French Quarter. And so our split stay turned into a triple stay. And we, since we have annual passes, decided to just head over to Magic Kingdom that night. And we spent our night in Magic Kingdom, walking around, doing some rides. And we went to Tony's Town Square, which we've never eaten out before and we were kind of iffy about, because in previous years it hasn't really been that good. But I got the burrata salad and it was really good. It is a tiny amount of burrata, but the tomato and like, oh, it was really good. I don't know if it's just because tomatoes are in season, but I definitely recommend the tomato and burrata salad. I think it's called like the Toy Box tomato salad. It was delicious and a nice little light kind of like evening snack / dinner. It was very light. But we got that, and then we just headed back to our resort. We didn't really do that much. And in the morning, so we were heading home that night. So we just went to Epcot and did like a few last minute food and wine things, since we didn't get to try everything on our previous Epcot day, and we just kind of chilled. We rode Guardians again, got a song that we've gotten before, but still fun. That ride is always fun. And then we kind of cut our day short and headed back to French Quarter. I swam in the pool a little bit and we got beignets to go. So I absolutely love the beignets and I take them home with me every chance I get, because they actually stay good for a good amount of time. If you just kind of keep them in a sealed bag. So I got some beignets, I ate a couple while we were there, and then we kind of just waited for our bus to come and get us and take us home. And, you know, it's always bittersweet to leave. But that was our trip. That was our recap and all of my thoughts. So I will say, this was our first experience going with other people. Usually it's just me and my husband. We go, we can do whatever we want. And it was definitely a different experience going with family, because there's a portion of you that wants to make sure everybody gets to do what they want and everybody's happy. And being the planner that I am a planner, I am a Disney travel agent, so I felt it was very much my job to kind of lead the pack and make sure everybody was having a good time. But overall, I still had fun. I would just say it was less vacation-y than when it's just me and my husband. So I am looking forward to us going again. And that was why I really didn't mind going with family, because I knew we were going to be going again anyways. And I was like, you know what? Let's take them. Let's show them a great time. Let's show them why we love it here so much. So I did have a good time, and I will say we did get Memory Maker for this trip. Definitely worth it if you're going with friends and family, because I have like 500 photos. So I've got lots of memories and lots of photos, and it was a really fun time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will have lots more content coming. I have pretty much content planned out up until January, so keep a lookout for that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I hope you guys enjoyed just kind of sitting, hanging out with me. Let me know if you like these kind of recap, chatty Disney videos, because I will definitely do them for all of our trips in the future. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys in my next video.